Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Chicos, al parecer solucioné el problema del audio y ahora hay narrador y se escucha el sonido y la música. Además de que lo que acaban de ver es qué pasaría si me quedo encerrado dentro de la oficina. Se me hace muy gracioso porque al final al parecer te terminas muriendo porque no quieres salir, tienes miedo de salir. Entonces, ese es uno de los finales, además de muchos otros. Si recordarán, nos quedamos en ir a la puerta derecha y que el narrador olvidó la historia. Pero no pienso seguir en eso. Pero en alguna otra parte, seguir con eso a ver hasta dónde me guía. Pero hoy trataré.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Trataré de ver qué pasa en la puerta que está después de la sala de reuniones. Ok, como saben, no hay nadie aquí.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Nos vamos a ir por la izquierda, ya saben qué pasa cuando nos vamos por la derecha. Tal vez no terminamos lo que empezamos, pero algo es algo, ¿no?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Tal vez haya alguna curiosidad dentro de la oficina, pero pues no me he puesto a checar bien. Pues abro esta puerta y me meto.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Tal vez tenga razón.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing FA.
Estoy buscando algo con el que interactuar.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Porque quiero saber qué pasa.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out.
Bueno, hay muchas cosas.
It occurred to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Ok, salimos pues. Al parecer no hay nada. Pero ahora mi pregunta es, ¿qué pasaría si vamos hacia abajo? Ok. Un estacionamiento.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for
Ok, el narrador ya me asustó.
rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Ya no sé si regresarme, seguir caminando.
If this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Okay.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real.
Ok, se puso a ver rojo, se puso a ver rojo.
Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ok.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¡Ah, qué pasó!
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok. ¡Me morí! Y así es el final. Esto es lo que pasa cuando bajo las escaleras. Repito una y otra vez. Y el narrador se mete en mi cabeza. Se me hizo algo raro, pero se me hizo chistoso, la verdad. Entonces, vamos a intentar hacer otra cosa. Ahora.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply sent a memo.
Imposible. Ok. Ok, cambio el mapa. No puedo abrirla. No puedo abrirla. Nada. Ok.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
La sala de reuniones.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Cambio. Ok. No encuentro otra cosa que pueda hacer aquí. El armario, pues ya sabemos, ¿verdad? Ya sabemos qué pasa ahí abajo.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, no puedo entrar. Ok, ahora pienso ir...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number.
28.
845. But of course, Stanley couldn't, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
Me preguntas qué pasaría si me equivoco varias veces.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ok, ahora vamos a ir por la puerta de escape. Ya vimos qué pasa si nos vamos por abajo. Ahora vamos a ir a la puerta de escape y creo que con eso va a ser todo. Porque la verdad sí duró. Sí duró bastante esa escena. Espero que la de escape no tanto. Entonces solo esperamos que cargue. Y los veo cuando llegue abajo. Bien, bajamos. Me siento raro porque yo tampoco había escuchado antes al narrador.
Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Entonces, con la escape sería la tercera vez que encontramos algo diferente, con lo que nos quedamos adentro y con la escalera hacia abajo. Y nos vamos a ir por escape, sin dudarlo.
Although this passageway had the word
Por la
escape
escape escrita en él, la verdad era...
that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
¿Qué? No sé si regresar.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Ok, ya me dio miedo.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Y ya me asusté. No veo nada. Ok. Ok, creo que morí. Técnicamente escapé. Eso creo. Me asusté porque pensaba que me iba a aparecer algo con eso de que iba a ir hacia mi muerte. Pero pues tenía la decisión de regresar, pero no iba a regresar porque ya sabía que iba a pasar. Y caigo. Ok.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had no sense whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no
Que no puedo salir, ¿verdad? No puedo salir.
the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
¿Ah?
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
¿Qué es este lugar?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same.
Ok, estoy muerto.
Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Oh, este es un mapa. The Office. Ok. No puedo subirme. De hecho, las dos puertas. El pasillo. Ok. Creo que esa es suficiente. Ok. Entonces aquí empiezo. Camino. Paso por ahí. Y las dos puertas. Gabinetes. No sé si este sea el final, ¿verdad? A ver. El cuarto de mantenimiento. Ok. No sé inglés. Perdón, no sé inglés. Warzone. No sé qué es este lugar. No sé si me acabo de spoilear. Stanley World and up Fatal. Vale. Bueno, no, más bien creo que tal vez es antes, o no sé. Subo por aquí. Ok. Este es un diferente final, claramente. Ok. Como que aquí hay algo que me explica de cada opción. Pero... mm, no lo entiendo muy bien. Vamos a para acá. Bueno, tal vez me está enseñando muchas otras cosas. Creo que muchos deciden al final ir por escape.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Morí. Perfecto. Creo que la vez pasada les dije que se me hizo bastante raro lo de la puerta derecha. Pero creo que ahora este final fue el que se me hizo más raro. No me aparece nada, está completamente oscuro. No sé si algo más me va a pasar, no sé si algo más va a haber. No sé si voy a regresar a la pequeña oficina de donde empecé. No, no hay nada. Entonces... No. Es un juego bastante extraño, debo admitir. Pero bastante interesante. Que te llena de mucha curiosidad, intriga. Sobre qué más puedes encontrar. Yo he encontrado algunas cosas, pero al parecer tengo más. Por ejemplo, de la puerta derecha todavía me quedan más caminos. Porque si recuerdan, cuando volví a iniciar me salió un camino amarillo. Entonces, creo que eso fue todo. Hoy vimos diferentes cosas. Por ejemplo, qué pasa si nos vamos por escape. Las escaleras. Bueno, además de que si nos quedamos en la puerta y entrando a la puerta de mantenimiento, a la habitación de limpieza. Yo pensaba que iba a pasar algo interesante, no sé si debí quedarme más tiempo, pero eso fue todo. Me gustó hoy. Entonces, como ya saben, si les gustó, denle like, comenten qué quieren ver en el próximo. compártanlo con sus amigos para que esta comunidad vaya creciendo y suscríbanse, eso es todo. Nos vemos hasta la próxima, adiós.